Hi Ashwak.
Hi. Everyone is in?
No, I think another three persons has to join.
Okay. We'll wait this time.
Yeah. Hello, Kevin.
Kaushik ji, Jay.
Jay, can you call Rudramani and Vishwesh?
Yeah, I'm doing it right away. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Kevin here. How are you?
Is now joining.
Yeah, hi, Kevin here. How are you?
Hey, hi, Kevin. We can hear you. Hi.
Yeah.
Kaushik ji,
Jay.
Rudra didn't pick the call, and Vishwesh is actually not feeling well actually due to some medical conditions. He didn't take the call today.
Oh, okay. Rudra?
Rudra didn't pick the call. I just called him twice.
Okay. Ashwak, we can start.
Okay, fine. We'll start it off then.
Yeah, no problem. We'll start.
Okay, ठीक है. Anyways, मतलब this recording session will be available for them. So basically, what we are doing is once you log in into Recruiting Monk, right? Only you people can see this content. Okay, what has been done for you guys, right? Only you people will be able to see this videos and all that, right? So that will be saved on Recruiting Monk. Once you log in, you'll be able to see that. So this will be available from coming week. So we are doing this. So even they have missed the session, they can look at the recording later.
Okay.
So So yeah, so we'll get started. Today we'll look at little more LinkedIn. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so okay, so we'll be talking about something called as iterative learning. Okay, so I'll tell you what is iterative learning all about. Okay, iterative learning is nothing but an approach or a method of learning synonyms. Okay, we spoke a lot about synonyms yesterday. I'll just tell you some more steps of how do you learn synonyms, right? So iterative learning is whenever you get a new terminology, we use that terminology, put it in the search, and then just see how the resumes are written, right? We don't create the entire boolean. What we do is, let's say cloud. You do not know what is cloud. Let's say you're working on cloud for the first time, right? It can be any other skill. I'm just taking cloud as an example, right? So cloud, when you get a job description, you can create a boolean, right? Proper boolean. But whenever you get a new job description, new role which you do not know much, right, and a new skill, then don't create an entire boolean, right? Pick that skill which is new to you, which you do not know, right? So that you learn synonyms and then create a search, right? So similarly, assuming here cloud is a new term for you guys, so what we do here is we just put cloud. That's all, nothing else. And if you see, we have like lakhs of resumes for cloud. Then open up some 10, 15 resumes, right? So what happens when you pick up some 10, 15 resumes, look at terminologies. Like here we picked up terminologies like IaaS, PaaS, AWS, OpenStack, Cloud Foundry and all that. Okay. So when you get these terminologies which you do not know, again, you just put this back to Google, right? So if Google says anything similar to cloud about these terminologies, then that means what? There's a possibility these are their synonyms. Okay, so this is how we learn synonyms in a method called as an iterative method. So how do we approach this method? We don't create an entire boolean. Whenever you get a new job description, we pick up that one skill which we do not know, right? That one skill, and we give enter. This can be on a LinkedIn, on job board, anywhere. Okay, and then from there we go about learning those terminologies, and then come create a search, right? That is why iterative learning is really helpful. So now what's happening now? Your search is broader. Previously you had only one term, cloud, but after performing the iterative learning, we have even more data sets now, right? Because we got few more terminologies. Okay.
Ashok, sorry to
Yeah.
disturb you. So I'm not able to view your screen. So whether you have shared the screen?
I'm sorry.
Kevin, Jay, can you view the screen or only for me?
No. Wait.
No.
Wait a minute.
No, actually, the screen wasn't shared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now it's shared.
Yeah,
Because
I'm sorry.
that's what I thought. I was not able to see the screen.
Yeah,
I thought
you could have said
problem.
I assumed I shared it. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, okay. So we were talking about cloud, right? Basically, so what we did was we had cloud as a term initially, where we did some learning, a word which we do not know, and then we just gave that word, and then we picked up some new terminologies for cloud from the resumes. Probably we Google and figure out, okay, these terminologies are similar to cloud, right? And then we create a broader search, right? So basically the point here which we were discussing is, whenever you get a new skill, right, in a job description, maybe you might know 6 terminologies, okay, 6 skills, but let's say there is one skill which is mandatory, but you do not know the skill. So what you do is, in that case, you just pick that one skill. Don't take the entire bullet. Just pick that one skill, go put it in the search. Look how many words are there, where all the skill is being used, right? So that you will get more broader idea, right? If you use it with those 5, 6 terminologies which you already know, right, and then that one mandatory skill you do not know, then what will happen is your understanding of that new skill which you do not know, which it will be in line to this 5 skills which you already know, right? So if you put only that skill which you do not know, then you'll get a broader perspective, right? Where all it is used. Maybe it is used elsewhere, not with these 5 skills which you know. That also you'll get an idea, right? So this will help you in screening, candidate engagement, and all that, right? So that is where iterative learning helps. So whenever there's a new term, new skill which you do not know, Just pick that skill, put it in the job board or a LinkedIn, see who is using it, for what reason they're using it and all that, and then make a synonym from it, a proper broader search, right? Okay, now I'll talk to you. Okay, now we'll talk about something called as implicit search and explicit search. Okay, I'll tell you what is the difference between an implicit search and an explicit search. Okay, so mostly what recruiters do is an explicit search, right? I think we spoke about it in detail yesterday. What is an explicit search is basically in a job description, if there are 5 skills given, people use those 5 skills directly, right? That is a explicit search. Implicit search is, let's say the mandatory skill is Hadoop, which is mentioned in the job description, right? So everyone, what they'll do, they'll use the word Hadoop in their search, right? Because that is what job description says. But if you do an implicit search, basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to write not Hadoop and use the other terminologies which are similar to Hadoop, which means implicit search, right? Which means it gives you similar resumes which has not used Hadoop but sister technologies of Hadoop. Same with cloud. So we gave not cloud and then use all the synonyms of cloud. So still we find some 9 lakh resumes of people who have not written the word cloud, but they are talking about other terminologies related to cloud. This is a huge number, right? And then, okay, and then these are the stop words, which is we need not use it in the search. A, in, at, for, off, with, right? If you use it in Google or even if you use it in LinkedIn, it doesn't recognize it. These are called as stop words. Okay, so LinkedIn or Google doesn't really figure out these words. Okay, now we'll talk about one basic skill, which is like Node.js with NoSQL, right? So we'll talk about how do we build a probabilistic search model. Okay, so what is happening here is when we get a Node.js kind of a skill, what happens? They ask Node.js, right, and then database, and then a web service, right? So this is what majorly they ask if Node.js is a backend skill which they are looking forward to. Okay, so now what most of the recruiters do is they frame this search, okay, which is like Node.js and then web service and then NoSQL. They frame this search. Okay, and after framing this search, what happens? They do a search, they get some 90,000 resumes, and then that's all. So now these resumes which a recruiter sees in front of him is just a 1/3 data set, right? It's just 1/3. So we spoke about yesterday, 2/3 is a dark matter, right? So how is it a dark matter? I'll show you. So this is how it becomes a dark matter. Now there are 1 lakh resumes which do not write database on their profile, but they write Node.js and web service, right? So does it mean they are not suitable? Not at all. They could be suitable. Why? Because 70-80% of the people who work on Node.js, right, and APIs tend to use MongoDB, right? People who use on Node.js kind of a backend skill, right? Their database which they use is 70% of the time is a NoSQL database by default. Only 30% people use SQL database, right? So now, for that reason, what will happen if we remove NoSQL database by using not? Still, there is a 70% possibility that we will be getting Node.js developers, right, who work on NoSQL and APIs. It is just that they have not written in the resume. So we are exposed to more data set, which is 1 lakh resumes, right, on LinkedIn. And then another structure. This is a third probabilistic model. Okay, wherein a guy who knows Node and also NoSQL database but does not write API in his resume. Okay, so this actually means what? He may not have written in the resume, okay, but he might know. Why? A guy who's talking about a backend language and a database, how will he communicate to the database without knowing API? Okay, so that is where we assume, okay, most of them know APIs, because the way to communicate to a database for a backend guy is through APIs, which is basically web service. Okay, so the candidate should be knowing. So again, here 70-80% of the candidate would know it even if they did not write it, right? And in LinkedIn is such a platform where most of them don't write it, as we saw yesterday, right? So this is how we go about writing probabilistic search models on top of LinkedIn. Okay. So now what we will do is we will go try figure out how LinkedIn works. Okay, this is an old search. What you're seeing now, this search, whatever you're seeing, the pretty long detailed search is an old search. Okay, now LinkedIn doesn't work like this because there's a lot of limitations on LinkedIn. So we'll see what is this limitation.
Kevin.
Is now exiting.
Okay, so now you sent me any job description today? Oh shit.
Yes, yes.
These are okay. The task. Kevin is here. This is Kevin's, right?
Yes.
Okay.
My computer just came on.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Matlab, what you did in context. Wait. First, let me look at the job description. UI developer, JavaScript, Ajax, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Java servlets, seamless technology. Preferred. Okay, so now what you did here is fine. Matlab, you wrote the first search wherein you tried writing the most perfect search, right? And then you tried also including the preferred skills, which is add-on skills like Jasmine and Mocha and all that, right? Which you've done here, right? Which is fairly good, right? And then second search also looks fairly good, wherein you tried writing not Jasmine, right? Probabilistic model, fine. But there are small tweaks here. Like you gave JSP or Java or Java servlet. Why do we need Java here again? So it can be just servlet. We don't need Java, right? It can be just servlet. Okay. So basically, when we are giving a
I thought you like Java servlet is other thing. Java. Okay.
Servlet is what? Servlet is a Java framework. Okay. If I say servlet, if I say so, because we saw the technology document the other day, we saw like Java frameworks, right? Primary frameworks of Java. Spring, Hibernate, Struts, servlets,
Yes.
right? So when I say servlets, when by default I'm meaning Java only, right? I need not say Java servlet. Okay. So it's like if I'm saying Angular JS, I'm trying to say JavaScript because Angular JS is JavaScript. Node.js is JavaScript. Okay. I need not specifically say JavaScript because when I say Node.js, I'm meaning JavaScript because that is the parent skill, right? So for that reason, you need not write. So I'll tell you a simple funda of writing a search. Look, whenever you're writing a search, I always tell recruiters, every word which you write in the search, you need to think, whether do I really need this? Whether this will create an impact to my search. Any word, whatever you're using in your search, right? How will it create an impact to my search? This kind of a thought process has to go through whenever you're writing a search, right? That is what will help you become good at sourcing. Okay, ask questions to yourselves every time. Okay, so yeah, so now going to the second is fine, right? And third one, what you did, what is missing? JavaScript. Okay, you just took off JavaScript, Ajax, HTML, right? Okay, the reason why we learned not is not to drop skills, right? We are not doing this habit. Like I told you, I'll go back to the previous examples, what we discussed. Right. So now, this is a problem which most of the recruiters face, right? General Boolean approach. People who know Boolean. There are 25% people who write Boolean, okay? But they face a problem. What problem they face? That is, they have written some 5 skills. They need more resume. They drop 1 parameter. They make it 4. So then what happens? You get overlapping data set, right? You get data set from a previous search. So it was the same thing which happened in your search also. Now your second search, let's say it has 1,000 resumes, just for example, assume, right? And the third search gives you 3,000 resumes. So what's happening? You are carry forwarding that second search data here, 1,000 extra. So it is unique is only 2,000 for you. You're carry forwarding the 1,000 here. Why? Because you dropped the skills, JavaScript, you dropped it. You did not negate it. If you negated it, then what happens? You have got only the 2,000, which is unique. Okay. So this is where the difference between talking to a search engine and just searching, right? So if you do this, what happens? You tell the search engine, boss, I have seen these data in the second search. Don't show me anymore, right? You mean to, okay, we understand that from the third search, you are trying to tell the search engine, okay, JavaScript, I don't want this anymore. I don't think it is mandatory. You're dropping it, right? But by dropping it, you are inviting a new problem, which is you're calling the previous data set again, right? So to stop that, what we do is we use not. Yeah, so you can add them here. If we don't need it, along with Mocha or Jest, and then add it JavaScript, Ajax, HTML, CSS, right? So this is how is the approach. Okay. So we'll see in detail how we will go about approaching it. I'll talk to you about UI developer role separately, and then I'll give you a detailed explanation. Okay. This was just to see how are you catching up in terms of using not operator. You have done fairly well, right? But this will come out of practice. So keep practicing this. Okay. Okay. Now next one. We don't use designations for a backend developer role. Java developer, J2E, we don't use developer, we don't use the designation for a backend developer role. Designations are used only for designation driven roles. What is the meaning of a designation driven role? Any role, like let's say for UI developer, what you did, UI developer or front-end engineer, front-end developer, there are some 7-8 designations which we need to use for UI developer. By using that 7-8 designation, what happens? We cover at least 80-85% of the data of UI developers. Okay, but that is not the same case with Java. So what happens with Java is there are so many designations for a backend developer role: software developer, software engineer, software consultant, right? Some people call themselves the AVP, assistant vice president, but they are backend developers, right? Analyst is also a developer. There are some 30 designations for a backend developer. How many will you write, right? And people have different ways of writing also. So we don't write designations for any backend developer role. Okay. So it is just you can write Java or J2EE like that. Experience with REST SOAP web application, microservices, experience with Spring Boot and components of Spring Framework, Spring Boot. Okay, so when you write Spring Boot, what you should be doing is you write both the models: Spring Boot without space, Spring Boot with space, both. Okay. So you need to write all.
Okay.
And then JavaScript such as Angular or React. Say Angular or React, Angular JS or Angular, or React JS or React.
Okay.
And at least the first job description, you did a fairly decent job by using probabilistic model. You did bring not. In second, there is no not. I don't see not. Your Boolean is fine. Okay. Okay. But this doesn't take you to the advanced Boolean level, which we were discussing. There's no not here. At least in the first model, you did a fairly decent job here, right, by slicing and dicing. But here there's no not. You've dropped the script. Again, whatever I explained you there, the same problem we'll face here. That is, let's say here what you did, you dropped these terms. So now first search gives you 3,000 resumes, second search gives you 5,000, then there will be overlapping data from the first. Okay, because you've just dropped it, right? That is what is this approach clear to you? The general and the power of not. If you understand this, then things will be clear. Shall I explain this again?
No, Ashwak, I am clear on that. I just had like a couple of doubts when I'm just writing this Boolean. I thought in Java, it's like a TDD and Spring. I thought like everything is a mandatory skill. So I didn't go with by putting
Okay.
like not. That's the reason we didn't use the not. But in UI developer, they actually mentioned as some preferred skills. So I, like I just went with the not, even if there is not there, and like the client just prefer that it's not something mandatory. So the reason I actually used.
Okay. No,
And I
look.
thought of right. Yeah. Please, yes.
Now, what I'm trying to say here is, look, you in the second search you dropped, right? Spring Core, right? You dropped, right?
Yes.
Instead of dropping, I'm saying negate it. Instead of dropping, negate it. That is what I'm trying to say, right? That is what this structure also tells you. A general Boolean guy, what he does is, he given 5 parameters, which is mandatory parameters, got 2000 resumes. Now he needs more parameters. What can he do? He can do only 2 things. Number one, maybe he can supply more synonyms if it is possible. Maybe he can give E1 or E2 or maybe D1 or D2 or D3, anything, so that he can see if the search is expanding. One, he could try this. Two, what he will do if he needs a more resume, he will drop a skill, right? So that he gets more resumes, right? So that he can see, so that he can look at that near perfect resume, right? So now I am saying this is the approach of a general Boolean guy. But a guy who knows not, who knows how not works, what he would do is he will not drop a skill, he will negate a skill. Because when you negate it, what happens? You will not get previous data sets from your previous search, right? If you drop it, then what happens? That problem happens that you get previous data sets, right? To get unique data sets, that's why we use not. Not is not to negate. Oh, this is a mandatory skill I'm negating. Then why are you dropping? That is the next question. Why are you dropping that skill if it is so mandatory for you? You are dropping because you need to explore more resumes. You are fine to look at near perfect resumes. That is the reason why you are dropping, right? When you are ready to drop, I am saying negate it, so that you don't get repetitive data sets. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I got it. Okay.
right. So what I would suggest you is, you need to practice this on a job board or any search engine, any database, right? Practice it and then see how your data is reacting. That's when you'll get a hold of it, right? Keep practicing it using not, right? Just keep practicing it, right? Now I think you'll have less demands for hiring and all that, right? Use this time. Use this time. Keep practicing on the job board. See, if I use this, what happens? If I use that, what happens, right? Because only by doing good amount of research work and interacting with the database, with any search engine, that's when you will be learning, right? That is what will help you, right? So start doing that, and then you will get an understanding of what I'm trying to really say. Okay.
Okay, Ashwik. Ashwik, I just have like couple of doubts. It's the same JD actually.
Yeah. You have
The
doubts?
Java one actually.
Just a minute. Just a minute. Oh, not this one. This is the one.
No.
No.
It would be like BT.
Yeah.
Yes, in this actually, they have just mentioned that experience in TDD using JUnit or similar frameworks, but I could not find something similar to JUnit. Is that okay if I mention TDD? I mean, just TDD.
Yes, it's fairly good experience in TDD using JUnit. So a guy who has written just TDD, right? So it is like you're calling. What you could do in this case is JUnit or TDD. Okay. So what you try to understand here is experience in TDD or using JUnit. That means what? This is just a normal English sentence. Okay. Concentrate on that sentence. What you will understand with a normal English sentence is you need not know technology for this. Meaning the guy has to perform a TDD activity, right? Which is basically a testing activity using JUnit or similar framework. Now you do not know what is a similar framework. Then what you will do, JUnit or TDD. Now, what will happen is when you open up some resumes, right? There might be a resume which might say implementing TDD using ABC framework, which may be a new framework. Now that becomes a learning for you. You're getting it. So
Okay,
you can compare. You can always compare a children with a parent. Okay, and when it is specific, not when it is generic. What do I mean by that? let's say the thing says should have experience with Hibernate framework. Just assuming you do not know what is Hibernate framework. Okay, don't make it Hibernate or framework. You're getting it? Why? Because framework is a broader term, right? It is not a specific term, right? So you cannot compare Hibernate or framework because that framework can be used for anything, anywhere, but not the same case with TDD, right? Similarly, I gave you yesterday one Boolean task which had experience with microservice using Docker, right? So in that case, what you can do, Docker or microservice, okay? Because microservice is again not a generic thing; it's a specific thing, right? So when you know this is a specific skill which is being spoken about, then you can compare those two skills, a parent skill and a child skill, right? And that is how the comparison works. Don't use a general skill to compare. Use a specific skill. Fair enough?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, not is not used just to negate added advantage skills and all that, right? Not can also be used to negate mandatory skills. Okay, so I'll tell you how. Okay, that is what we discussed now, and I'll explain you in detail as well. Spring Hibernate, which is actually AND. Yeah, you are right. But why do we need a bracket for AND? Bracket comes only when there is an OR operator. Otherwise, bracket doesn't come. By writing this, still you will get a search result. That I agree, right? This is not going to harm. But I never use bracket when it is not necessary. Why? Because bracket is a troublemaking operator. Okay, why troublemaking? Let's say if your search has too many brackets, or if your search has a complex bracket like a nested loop brackets, right? Then you will get confused because it is not necessary to use a bracket for AND operators. Okay, bracket is to be used only for OR operators. Otherwise, we don't need. So unnecessarily, why do we add a term or any word itself? Why do we add when things can happen without it, right? So use OR only when there's a OR operator, then you use a bracket. Yes. Similarly, JUnit and Mockito, right? It's strong experience. We don't need bracket there as well. Flink or Spark or Kafka, okay, that's a fine, right? Because that's an OR operator, right? This or that. That is good. Then you have used a bracket there. That's fine, but not here, right? Okay. Yeah. You have any doubts on this? This JD?
No.
No?
This,
Yeah.
one small doubt. Actually, they asked for REST APIs. So should I mention that in the search, or you can call the candidate and ask them?
Okay. First search can have it. First search can have it. First search is always you're looking for that good on resume guys, right? Good on resume. And then from the second search onwards, you slowly start looking at the near perfect guys, near good guys, right? The first search is bang on. That's what we did yesterday. If you remember yesterday, search one, we covered almost everything, right? 90% accuracy, 75, it keeps going down. So this helps you structure your search, right? You are able to tell yourself, look, I'm going to write the first search. I know I can like mostly my Boolean is good. I can blindly say out of 10 resumes, 8 are good, right? Because my Boolean is good, right? Second search, okay, I need to be a little careful. Third search, little more careful. Fourth search, I need to be even more careful while screening the resume, right? So your mind works accordingly. When you have a good hold on your Boolean search, right? Your mind tells you, boss, this gives you little junk. Be careful, right? Boss, this is your first search. It is going to give you mostly good resumes only. You can be little carefree while screening resumes, right? So this approach of using a proper sourcing model, right, wherein you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 searches in a more structured manner, and that helps you even screening resumes, right? Because if you're writing a fourth search wherein you know ki, this is going to just give me 40% accuracy, then your mind will say, hey, come on, look at it a little more deeper, screen this resume a little more deeper, right? You'll tell yourself, right? So that is what is required, because if you do not organize yourself like this, your approach of screening is same for everything. Even if you're written a search which is going to give you less efficacy, right, less efficient resumes, qualitative resumes are less, but still your approach is same. Why? Because your mind does not know which search how to react, right? It is reacting the same way for all the searches, right? So that is where funneling your search like a proper structure like this is what helps, right? So yep. So now what I'll do is probably I'll pick this up, decode this for you. Java, Spring, ORM, mainly Hibernate, right? And then REST. Strong experience with build tools also they've asked. Maven, Gradle. So now I'm going to write this for you. What's your name?
Kevin.
Who's the JD is this? Kevin's JD, yeah?
Yeah, Kevin.
Kevin Java JD. So tomorrow when you refer, right, you will know what is this I've written for. So now one is they're asking, okay, let's do like this, Java and Spring and Hibernate, and then they've asked what, Hibernate or ORM, right? And I'll tell you why I didn't write my bat is, I bat is. I'll tell you. Okay, let me finish this. I'll tell you.
Sure.
Aaron Jenkins. JUnit Mockito. You did not write databases also. Database is important. Database is important.
Okay, sure.
Right. And I think they said any database is fine, right? With SQL and NoSQL database. That means any database would do. No one will ask both. Okay. Or PostGRE or Postgres or PostGRE SQL or Mongo or MongoDB or HBase or Cassandra or MySQL or SQL. Okay, so yeah, so this is what you could write as your first search, and yeah, we have to write REST also. They ask for REST API, we write RESTful or REST or web service or web service. So this is your Boolean. Okay, so now when you look at this, it is very structured, very clean. You know, this is database, this is web service, this is your testing tool, this is your build tool, this is your ORM framework, this is your Spring, this is your Java. It looks very clean. This is how your clustering needs to be. I told you yesterday, one of the mistakes which recruiters do is comparing apples with oranges, right? Or OR operator mistake, right? So we should always compare it only with relative skill sets, right? So now it looks clean, right? Now, why did I use Hibernate or ORM, but I did not use MyBatis, iBatis? I'll tell you. Okay. Now, if you come here, it says experience with ORM frameworks, mainly Hibernate. That means this guy is very specific. Okay, he's like, hey, I need Hibernate, man. Right? So MyBatis, iBatis may not fly for this guy. Okay, unless and until you have a special input from the hiring manager, then it might. Okay, but from a JD, I'm trying to derive. Okay, maybe the hiring manager specifically says, hey, any ORM would do. That's fine. That's a different case. Okay, keeping only JD as a reference point, I'm trying to derive things. Okay. So now, in this case, what I did, I wrote Hibernate or ORM. Why? Because what if there's a resume we just wrote ORM? We did not write anything else. Then in that case, obviously, you have to call that guy and ask, hey, you've written ORM, man, which ORM? Right? For that case. That is why I did not write MyBatis, iBatis and all that, because this guy is very specific, mainly Hibernate. Okay, so that is the context behind it. Okay. Now, what I could do with this, now this is where the playing skills comes into picture, how all I can play, right? So the first thing is, okay, so I'll tell you what is mandatory for a backend developer role. I'll have to open a technology document. I'll show you what is mandatory for a backend developer role. Okay, so now you see the screen, backend server-side developer, right?
Yeah.
Yes, can you?
Okay, so now, so this is what primarily are required for a backend developer role. We'll talk about it in detail, right? Language, framework, web service, database. This is a most basic backend developer skill set. Language, framework, web service, database. This is a very basic guy. He's a very basic backend developer, right? And then on top of it, if cloud comes, oh, little more advanced guy. On top of it, maybe Docker comes, microservice comes, oh, little more advanced guy, right? On top of it, big data comes, oh, little more advanced guy, right? So that is how it basically shapes up for a backend guy. And what is not mandatory for a backend guy, it is written here. If you see, for example, version controlling, testing, build tools, app servers, IDE, right? All these things are not mandatory for a backend developer role. These are add-on skills for a backend developer role, right? It's like a cherry on top of a cake, right? Cherry is not cake, right? Cherry is just on top of the cake. Okay, so these are the skills which is not really mandatory. These are add-on skills. Okay, now we'll look at this. So if you look on the right-hand side, what you see, there's a green color box. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Right. So these are of skills which has nothing to do with a language. These are standalone skills. Okay, which is not dependent on any language. Okay, we are talking about backend for a backend role. Your backend role can be Python. Your backend role can be .NET. Your backend role can be Node.js. Right? It can be Java. It can be anything. Okay, and these skills fit into that language. What is it? Database, web service, threading, right? Messaging technologies, and cloud, big data, microservice. So these are your mandatory skills for a backend role. Okay, if someone says, okay, along with language and framework. So when someone says backend role, one is language and then framework, two things, and then rest apart is all standalone skills like these. Okay. Apart from this, anything which is asked, right, for a backend developer role, then what it is not really mandatory. Okay. So now we will go back to the Boolean which we were discussing. This is clear, right? What I explained now?
Yes.
Okay. Now we'll go to the Boolean. So now what we saw there, we saw key build tool is not mandatory, right? So if you go back here, it says strong experience with build tools. Till now, you don't know what is a build tool, right? Even I didn't explain you what is build tool, but the job description is explaining. This is how you learn skills, either from job description or from the resume, right? What is build tool? Maven or Gradle,
Yeah.
right? So this is how your learning goes. Even in the resume, what you need to do, you need to look at Maven, Gradle, and then look at the skills which are written around Maven, Gradle. There are other skills also. There is something called as Ant. There's something called as Jenkins, right? These are all build tools. You might find them around Maven, Gradle being spoken in the resume. Then the next second is, hey, I just know from the JD I learned Maven Gradle is build tool. What is this Ant and Jenkins doing next to Maven and Gradle? Then you put a Google, and then oh, this is also something similar, a build tool. That is how you leverage your knowledge base, okay? And then use it back in your searches and use it back while you're screening your resumes, right? And this is what will help you, okay? Now we'll get back. So now what we're going to do is, first, maybe you can give not to build tool or to testing. Anyone you can give, because both are not really mandatory for a backend role. So I'll start it with build tool. This becomes your search one. Then comes your search two. In search two, what I'll do, I'll write not to testing, right? Then what? Then probably I'll give not to web service. Why? Because a backend guy who's talking about language, framework, and then database, right? How will he be communicating to the database? Obviously, he should know RESTful, some kind of a web service, right? RESTful web service, and mostly people use REST web service, right? 60% of the time it is REST web service. Okay, most of the time, 60 to 70% of the time. Okay. So now in that case, probably what if someone didn't write in the resume? Still, you should be interested in looking at the resume. Okay. So that's why this not. Okay. Then next search. Now what I'll do is I'll give not to both. What is it? Maven or Jenkins, JUnit, both. Yes, previously we gave it separately. Look, what this concept is basically, this is nothing but slicing and dicing data. One pie, one pie, one pie, right? Slicing piece by piece. And then I'll make this one and. There cannot be two not operators, okay? There has to be only one not operator. And whatever you don't need, keep adding in that one operator in terms of our logic, okay?
I have one doubt.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, if we put not in the starting, like for example, Ibanez or ORM, not Maven or Jenkins. So will from not till the bottom, will that not reflect on the search, or should I put not at the bottom?
As a good habit, you can keep it in the bottom, okay?
Okay.
But by writing like this, what happens? You're just, because this acts like a loop bracket.
Okay.
So the not operator is applicable only for this loop, Maven or Jenkins. It is not applicable anywhere outside. Okay. So as a good habit, it can be not can be always at the end. Okay. And this is not our first search. Our first search is and. Everything is and then starts the second. Okay. So we have written 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unique data sets now, right? And then what we do here, then you can write then probably I'll take the entire web service. So how many searches? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 unique searches, right? And this works well on any of your job boards, right? Whether you're working on Dice, Monster, any of it, right? Go in a Boolean mode. Don't go in a keyword search. Turn on the Boolean mode and then put the search. Then it will work for you on any job board, right? And this is how you go about structuring the search, right? If you see, we have written 6 searches and all the 6 are unique. Fair enough? Is this
Yeah.
clear? Any doubts with this?
So far, yeah.
Don't worry, this will come to you with practice. What you need to do is, I'll be sharing this document to you anyways, okay? Look at how this is written. Just keep reasoning it out. What it is it reason, for what reason this is written, right? And play with the database. Give to the search, right? See how many resumes you're getting. By giving a not operator to one skill, how many you're getting, right? Your answer is basically a search engine looking at the data. That is what needs to teach you. Okay, this is how it reacts. Oh, this is what it does. Okay, I don't need a not here probably because it's giving me only 5 resumes. Why should I use it, right? So you practice this 2-3 times, and what happens is basically you master that search for that particular role, right? You practice this for about 2-3 days for Java, right? Then you will next time you will say, hey, no, I don't think we should be using not here, because if I use not here for this skill, I will get only 5 resumes. That is where you need to reach, right? That is called as a data driven approach as a sourcer, because you will say, hey, not many people write this word, man, as Java developers. Very few people, right? I have seen that kind of a conviction you need to have, right? When will it happen? When you keep playing on a particular role for about 2-3 times, 4-5 times, right? And you're analyzing, not just playing, analyzing data also. Okay, if I give this word, how is it reacting? If I give not to this, how is it reacting, right? If I simply drop it, how is it reacting? What is the difference between these two, right? That is what will make you learn, and then you will reach a conviction wherein you will say, hey, I don't think I should be using this because this is going to limit, or this will give me more, right? That kind of a conviction you need to be reaching out. Okay. Now we'll come into LinkedIn. So what I'm going to do here is we are going to learn how basically LinkedIn works, okay, in terms of a search, okay, and we will look at how LinkedIn basically works in terms of a search. One of the changes which LinkedIn basically brought in was 6 months back. You can have your search query as long as possible. When I say as long as possible, for a free version, it was 1,000 characters. But then it changed. Today, your search cannot have beyond 6 operators. That is A and B and C and D and E and F. That's all. Beyond that, you cannot write. If you write it beyond that, you will not get data. LinkedIn will say, oh, something went wrong, but it will not tell you what went wrong. Basically, it just limits you from using too many operators in the search. So in that case, how do I go about searching? So this is where you need to first question yourself. The job description which I'm working on, is it a designation driven or a non-designation driven, right? So this is an answer which you need to have. Like for example, SFDC is by default a designation driven search because most of them use SFDC. If not SFMC, they use SFDC, right? Most of them, right? So it's a designation driven search, right? Most of it, 80-90%, not 100, okay? 80-90, okay? So this kind of an understanding is something which you need to be really having at. If you don't have, the answer is data. Go look at data, figure out whether it is designation driven, not designation driven. How will you figure out? Now I told you for Java developer, you will not use designation in your search. Now how do I know? Let's say I'm new to this model of searching. How do I know? Okay, for Java developer, tomorrow it can be any other developer, right? Today I told you easily, oh, backend guys don't use, backend roles you don't use. You agreed, okay. But tomorrow some other role, it may not be backend, some other developer role, some tool developer role, right? How will you know? I'll tell you how. We'll take Java developer example, okay. You wrote this, basically this is what you wrote in the search. Java developer or J2 developer. How many resumes? I have some 3 lakh profiles. Now what I'm going to do is, you have 3 lakh profiles. Then I'm going to make it like this. Can you see the difference? 99 lakhs, where is 99 lakhs? Where is 3 lakhs? Right? This is how you learn. First, you give specific designation and then look at it how it reacts. And then you give a generic word and then see how it reacts. See the data variation, it's not small, right? It's so huge, right? Crazy. This is what more than some 30, 40 times, 50 times of data, right? 50x maybe, right? So this is a huge data set, okay? So now this is how there's a lot of difference between this data and the previous one, right? What we saw initially was a small data set, minuscule, 3 lakhs, now it is 99 lakhs, right? Huge difference, right? So this is where we need to be looking at how do we ensure whether we really need a designation driven cert or we don't need it, right? The data difference is 30%, 35%, right? Which is so high. Okay. Now we conclude we don't need a designation for the search, right? So that is how we end up concluding. Okay. And let's see how does LinkedIn work in terms of search. Okay. Now I'll tell you, is it a good thing or a bad thing that LinkedIn came up with this model? So according to me, this is a good thing. Okay, LinkedIn limiting 6 words is a good thing. Why? Because now what will happen is, I'll tell you what will happen. From a LinkedIn product itself, it is good. Okay, I'll tell you what will happen. Now with this limitation, most of the recruiters will not know how to search. They will struggle. Okay. Since they will struggle, the number of people they'll reach out to will be minimal because they do not know how to search. Right? That it will become minimal. It will become less. Okay. Which becomes good for those recruiters who know to search. Right? Let's say there's 5% recruiters who know to search. And it's a good thing. You're having an upper hand in comparison to 95% recruiters who do not know, right? Which is a very good thing to know, which is a very good thing for a good recruiter. You should be happy. Point 1. That is one reason, right? Point 2, when we are searching, we should learn some methods of how we can search within the boundary or within the limitation of what LinkedIn has provided. What is the limitation? Beyond 6 words, your search collapses. You can't see results. That is a limitation. Whether you are using a normal account which is not paid, unpaid account, right? Point 1, or you are using a normal paid account. There are like almost 3 variations of LinkedIn. One is a unpaid, another one is a normal paid account, like normal user but slightly premium user. Okay, wherein you can do many searches. In a normal account, you can do only some 10 to 15 searches and then you cannot see data. That is how LinkedIn is basically. Okay. There's a slightly premium version which is very less. It is some 1,800 or 2,000 rupees per month. That's all. Okay. Here the advantage is what you can perform any number of searches. LinkedIn doesn't stop you, but still you can write only 6 words. You cannot write beyond. Okay. This is one thing. Okay. But if you buy the third account, which is Recruiter Lite license, which is very costly for a US thing and all, I think it is very costly. Indian market itself, yearly, it is like coming to some, I think some 5 lakhs or something for yearly, right? 4 lakhs or something for Indian market, right? It can be more for a US market, right? Wherein there is no limitation to the number of words you use, right? You have exposure to the entire database of LinkedIn and all that, which is a Recruiter Lite license. Okay, there's no limitation. So if you fall in the first category or second category, right? If you're someone who relies on LinkedIn, then I will ask you to buy the second one, which is very less, 2,000 rupees per month, right? And play within that 6 words. Learn how to play within 6 words and play. You will have upper hand from most of the recruiters because only 5% recruiters have a recruiter light license again. Okay. So not many people have a recruiter light license. Among that 5% recruiters who have a recruiter light license, less than 1% recruiters know how to use it effectively. Right? So you will have an upper hand still. Okay. So now let's see how do we perform a search. Now let's pick up an example of a Java developer itself. Okay. And we will use only like primary skills here. So when we use primary skills, I will start with Spring Hibernate. Spring and Hibernate. What I will not do is I will not use Java. Why? Java is mandatory. Why should I use? How can I drop Java? It is a mandatory skill, right? How can I drop? My answer is simple. Point 1. LinkedIn gives me limitation on the number of words I need to use. So I need to be smart in the way I am using words, right? I need to be very looking at each word and thinking, do I really need it, right? And then 3, I will look at what word I am using, right? If I use a word A, right, will it also equal to word B? Will it act like an anchor word for the other word, right? If yes, then I would not use that word. If I use Hibernate, then by default I mean Java. I don't have anything else. Python will not come for me, right? But if I use SQL, everything will come. Python will come, .NET will come, right? C# will come, whatnot, everything. So now the word which I'm using, I need to be really having a good grip on it, what that word is, whether that word will help me call another word, so that I'm not going to write. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So this
Yep, I
we
am.
call So this we call it as a minimal search model. Okay. Wherein we write only minimal terms which is really mandatory. Okay. Now we're in Spring and Hibernate. Okay. Now what else? Maybe I'm going to talk about web service, right? And I'll talk about SQL, right? Enter. So we have some 9,000 profiles in front of us. So I always told you, even yesterday I told you that we need to apply a slicing and dicing approach to our data. 9,000 you cannot address, right? Make sure you slice and dice your data. So I need to slice it further. So what I'll do, I'll go to title search and then I'll put software. That's all, nothing else. 2,000, fairly good. And then I'll put locations, whatever location I'm hiring for. My location is mostly domestic data is what I'll get because my connections is all domestic, right? You guys will get US because you guys might have US connections mostly. So let me put Bangalore. +100 resumes, amazing. Let me finish this off. Amazing. I know okay, I'm gonna address 100 people. Okay. Now I am done. What will I do next? I'll be like, okay, I'm done with software. Now not. Then what? Probably developer. Next search. 30 resumes. Okay, amazing. Less data, consume it. Now I know. 2 searches, I know what I've finished. My first search remains concrete, Spring Hibernate Web Service database, SQL, most common used database, right? Just the concrete terms, 4 terms, that's all, right? And then I'm playing with the title. I'm just saying, hey boss, show me only this data, right? Next, okay, I'm done. Next data, okay, I'm done. Next data. This is how we go about structuring our search. Right now, let's say developer. This is done. Now what I'll do? Okay, developer is done. Now next search. I'll run you through one entire search. Okay. Engineer 36, fine, finished off. Piece by piece, and we are using the most commonly used designations. Software developer or engineer or what? Development. Okay, development is very less, only 7 people. Okay, and if you look at this, right, I'll tell you one add-on here data point. Look at the number of people I have in mutual connection, because mostly I have recruiters in my connection. Okay, I don't connect with anyone else. I connect only recruiters. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all mutual connections. Right, only this guy has little more. Why? Because these recruiters are not using these designations development. They're using mostly software, and these guys do not have software in their designation. Can you see that? These guys do not have software in their designations. So these guys are missing out, right? These guys are missing out these candidates because they do not have software. That's why the mutual connections, I have some 3,000 recruiter connections in my network, right? And these guys are Bangalore based. So obviously they should have more connections, but less connections. Why? Because of this reason, because recruiters do not split and look at different designations. And that is where they tend to miss out on resumes, okay? Now development, I'm not going to put on not, because this is just 7 resumes that is not going to impact my thing, right? The way I'm working, it is not going to impact. So I'm not going to put it back in not, just 7 resumes, right? How will it impact? Even if it comes as overlapping data later, that's fine, because just 7, right? And then what can be the another one, right? I can use maybe senior, just like that, normal. Yeah, so there are some 50 resumes which talk about senior, right? So we got all the senior guys. Okay, now at one point of time wherein you feel, okay, I'm done with it. The title search, I've done enough playing around, I've got most of the data, right? Then what you do, then you go to your skill. Until then you did not do anything to your skill. You kept it as it was, okay? Now what you will do, you will say not SQL, okay? You will say not SQL. Then enter. Now go back. Perform it again from the beginning. Developer. Right? So now each step you repeat it. Okay. You're done with it. Then again, then what you'll do next search? Next search will be like not web service, include SQL. Wow, 2000 resumes, right? Increase in data. Now you can play well. Developer 2000. Then what you'll do again, apply not to this, and then software. $7,000, right? Can you see how we are doing it step by step? Is this clear for you guys? How, even though there's a limitation within LinkedIn, we are playing with the limitation. Okay, so one thing you need to understand is you can write 6 words in this area of search, and then you can use 6 titles, right? Matlab, you can use it with 6 operators here, right? Six terms you can use, and not or, right? You can have 6 operators here, right? So this is how it basically works. Is this clear for you guys? Any
Yes.
doubts?
Yes.
Look,
Yes.
you need to understand.
Yeah, sure. And like,
Yeah, yeah. Tell me.
Okay, and we can mention the company name also, right? We can
Yeah,
actually play with that too, like
yes,
like
yes,
mentioning
yes,
like a couple of
yes,
companies.
yes. Yes, very much, very much. That also will help in minimizing the data, right? So basically, understand the structure. So this is what I tell recruiters, guys. You need to understand the search engine, befriend the search engine, befriend the search engine. Once you befriend 2, 3 search engines, next time it's all about playing. Look, LinkedIn keeps changing every 6 months, right? I get to know once I play like 2, 3 times. Last time, what happened? I was giving a training in a for a look. I don't use search unless and until I'm training because I don't do recruitment. I don't do sourcing. Okay, it's been years since I left sourcing. Okay, so so some people in my client places had this question on to their management. This guy doesn't do search at all. Then why do you bring this guy for training? Okay, because I'm not a daily searcher, right? I don't search daily, so they bring this up, right? So then I told them, yes, I don't search daily, but I look at it how things change, right? So when I was searching this once in a client place, basically, and I gave a long boolean, some 10, 12 words and all that, and it didn't come. I think the problem was with boolean. I'm like looking at the boolean. Boolean is looking good. Okay, there's no problem with the boolean. I took that boolean, same boolean, applied it on Naukri. I got data. I'm like, why is this not coming? Why is this not coming? And then what I did, I kept, first I gave only one word, it is coming. If I gave one word, it is coming. 2 words, it is coming. But I gave 12 words, it's not coming. Then I thought, okay, maybe it's a limitation for word. Then I started giving 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7, it was not coming. And then I realized, okay, there's a catch for 6. Okay. Then it's just a matter of playing. That's what I said. Once you befriend a search engine, any new change which comes in, you'll adapt because you'll be playing, right? So once you keep practicing, you'll like, okay, why is it not coming? What is the problem, right? You'll get it. So this is a structure which you will follow while doing the search. What structure you will follow on LinkedIn? First is the search bar. We'll use all the skills, right? And then second is filter to slice the data. Bring one pie at a time, one pie at a time, one pie at a time. Then this gives you an amazing grip on your entire search. Okay, and this is very important, and you will get only by practice. Look, I have till date I have trained close to 3,000 odd recruiters. Okay, but how many recruiters do you think really are able to implement this? I personally know, but from 5 to 8 recruiters are able to implement. That's all. Out of 3,000 people I have trained. Why? Because most of them don't practice it. They feel good during the session. They're like, oh yeah, this is like amazing. They go back to the desk, and then their manager sits on their head. Hey, 10 resume per day, man. Okay, and then they go back to their old model, right? Hey, I know this is good, but my manager is asking 10 resume. First, I need to submit that. It's not coming. I need to spend some time, right? They don't do that. I tell you, first 1 week or 2 weeks, you will struggle. But if you want to be in your comfortable zone in the next 1-2 weeks after the session, then forget, you will not remember this. You will not be able to do this. Okay. If you tell yourself, yes, I'm going to struggle next 1-2 weeks, right? And if you're struggling, you can obviously message me. I'll help you out and all that. Okay. But it is your mentality, your attitude. How do you approach, right? 1 week, 2 weeks struggle, and this is the beautiful time in a way, right, wherein we can implement, practice whatever we have learned, right, whatever we are learning, because we don't have much of a work, right. In a way, this is a bad time. In a way, this is also a good time, right. It's all about how do we take it, right. So we take it. If we take it in a positive side, then I would say recruiters need to start looking at what are the new approaches, right, and start implementing it. Okay. So I'll tell you one story of a recruiter whom I trained. Okay, this guy is just 1.5 years experience. Okay, domestic hiring, India hiring guy. Okay, 1.5 years experience. Can you guess what is his current salary? 1.5 years experience, India domestic hiring recruiter, 1.5 years. What will be his current salary?
Like 20.
20.
20 or 20,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
20,000. Okay, 20,000 per month, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so his current salary is at 65.
Oh,
Current
okay.
salary
65,000 per.
per month.
Oh,
So this guy cracked interviews at Google, Microsoft, okay,
oh,
ThoughtWorks, okay, Goldman Sachs. He went to 5 places. He cracked everywhere, okay, and everywhere they had only one question for him. They had, in 1.5 years, how do you know so much? It is not because I trained him. Okay, that's a different story. It is because he implemented, he practiced. I trained other 2,000 odd people as well, 2,900 odd people, right? What the point I'm trying to make here is this guy practiced. He will always be like, hey, if not this, how? This is how can I do it, right? He had that curiosity and he was like always trying it hard, right? And that is where it impacted how he was approaching each problem statement. Yeah. And he was doing it differently than how other recruiters were doing. And that is what got him to 65,000 salary when he's 1.5 years in the industry. Right? In recruitment, that too in domestic recruitment, people take at least like 6, 7 years, 8 years to get at 65,000 salary, right? So it's all about practice. Training content, leave apart my content. There are so many other contents on the YouTube. What you listen, but the end of the day, what matters is, do you implement it? Do you try it? That is what matters. What I learned is all. I never attended any training. I never got any certification. Nothing. It's all self-learned. Whatever content I present to you is all self-learned, right? How? Because I always used to look at the search engine, play, and that's how I ended up learning, right? And the content which I'm talking about, you will hardly find this online. Even there are some very good recruitment trainers like Dean DeCosta, right? Who's a US-based trainer, right? Very good ones. But conceptually, the way I've been explaining you'll find very few people talking globally. In India, no one talks. Okay, that I can tell you because I know people who have attended other sessions also. There's no one else who talks like this. Globally, yes, there are a couple of people who talk the way I'm teaching you. Okay, but the point is, are you implementing it at the end of the day? Okay, if you don't implement it, it's total fail, and you'll go back to your keyword search and again back to square. Okay. So this approach is a slicing dicing approach. Yes, this will be difficult, but you need to do it if you want to go to the next level of recruitment. Because as you all know today, as we are talking, you all know recruiters are the first people to lose out their jobs because of the job market being in a crunch, right? So when recruiters are losing out their jobs, then who will remain in the jobs? Only the best ones, only the ones who can really create an impact, right? These are the ones who will remain in the job, not the ones who like just dumb keywords get resumes. They will find it very difficult to stay afloat in the job market. Next 1.5 years is going to be very difficult in the job market, right? So to ensure we have a foul-proof job role for ourselves, the only way is, yes, good thing, you got trained, you know things now, but next step is a bigger step. Getting trained is not a big thing. A bigger step is implementing. Okay, you need to go there, right? And if you have any bottlenecks, challenges, you can always ping me, and that is the reason why I even created Recruiting Monk, for that matter. For all the recruiters, I'm open to help. Okay, so whatever I train you is also on Recruiting Monk, but why do I need to give a training? Because explanation matters, right? Content can be there. You go to YouTube, you go to Google, content is there, thousands of content is there, but explaining and making sure you understand the way it has to understand, that makes an impact, right? So I think I've helped you in understanding the right way. Do let me know if you want me to repeat this, because this is very important. Have you understood the model, how this works? Is this clear?
yes.
Yes, so I'll play around with LinkedIn this weekend. Monday, if you have any questions, I'll.
Cool. Okay. Now we'll go back to the next.
We'll have some activity also. We'll have some activity on LinkedIn. You can allocate some tasks on LinkedIn so that we can check.
Yeah. I'll give you some activity. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, now we'll do a search, another search method on LinkedIn. Tell me any target company for you guys. Okay, this is a target company for me. What is it? Any target company?
Like Cognizant or
Okay, Cognizant. Okay.
Infosys, like.
Cognizant. Okay. So now what I'm going to show you is something which was there on LinkedIn some time back, and then LinkedIn removed it, and then it got it again. Okay. So I'll tell you what is it. So you come to the company page, any company which you're targeting, and then go to people. Okay. So this gives you a good search view. So these are people, right, working in Cognizant. So you get a good search view. One, I'll tell you what are the advantages of this. So this gives you an amazing analytical view, where they live, right, where they studied, right. Let's say you want Indians who are in US, you don't want Indians who are in US, right? It can be both. You want Indians, or maybe you don't want Indians, right? If you don't want, maybe select the universities which is like maybe US based universities, right? If you want Indians, select Indian based universities, right? And then what do they do? Engineering, information technology, operations, right? What they study? Do you want computer science grads, IT grads? What do you want, right? And then what skill you're looking at, right? A skill, but I will say not to use this. Okay, why? Because this is an OR logic, right? This is basically an OR logic. Okay, this is basically a complete OR logic. So I would not suggest this to be used, but there are very rare cases where this can be used, but in general, no. Okay, and then how you are connected to these guys. Okay, so you have an amazing search, amazing analytical view in this search model. Okay, so this was there earlier, and then LinkedIn pulled it off for a long time. It was not there for 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. It was not there. Again, they've brought it back. I don't know when they'll pull it off again. This came back only like 1.5 months back, maybe. Right, and still today, most of the recruiters do not know this model exists. Right. So yeah, so how can we search? Again, 6 words. You cannot write more than 6 words here, right? So let's say again, whenever there's a limitation of words, then you need to look at 2 things. Whether do I really need this word, point 1, point 2. Can I avoid this word by using another word, which is an anchor keyword? Hibernate is an anchor keyword for Java, right? So like this, you need to think through, okay? Let's write it, Hibernate, and Spring and web service. Very small data set. Okay, now tell me, previously there were only 3 words and we got some very less resumes. Now there are 4 words, now there's 1,500 resumes. How come? Now there is 1,500 resumes and the search is what? Hibernate, Spring, SQL, REST. 4 terms mandatory. Okay. In the previous search, I'll show you, which is only Hibernate, Spring Web Service, 191.
So SQL, because of SQL?
The point is 3 parameters, 191. 4 parameters, 1,000. How come?
It has a limitation to 3.
No, logically, if there is only 3, then data has to be more, na? Logically, if the parameters are less, right? If I give only Hibernate, I'll have more resumes, right? If I give only Hibernate, or maybe if I give only Spring, or if I give only Hibernate and Spring, obviously there'll be more resumes, right? That is the logic. So I've given 4 parameters. So the point is, many people don't write web service in their resume. They write either RESTful. So I've written web service here. Now I've written REST here. Can you see that?
Okay.
Right. So this is how you analyze data. You say, hey, most of them don't write web service, man. Many people write REST. Right. So this is an analysis which you need to get into, data analysis as a recruiter. Okay, cool. I will talk about things. US, you choose US, or if you want specific geography, maybe New Jersey, New York. Okay, okay. There's no resume. I think maybe Cognizant is not in New York. Let's go with US. Right. So once I go with US, 550 employees, and I think mostly Indians only, right? Where they studied. Indiana University, JNTU, all Indians there. Right. And then if I want people from what engineering background. Right. And now you have this. So what is the beauty of this search? There are a couple of beauties about this search. Okay, what is it? Point one, specific company target. Okay, that is one of the beauties, right? Second aspect is this helps you do a lot of slicing and dicing. Good amount of slicing and dicing. Okay, I can choose engineering now, and then later I can remove engineering, choose information technology, right? So I can do a lot of slicing, dicing. Maybe I can go with education, computer science first, information technology. So you're like, okay, I'm done with this 100, next 30, next 40, right? You will know what you have done for that day, right? It is not just the Boolean, but you can filter based on what they studied. You cannot, I don't think what you studied is basically there on your normal search. I don't think that is there. Let's see if it is there on your normal search. What they studied is not there on your normal search. Connections, employees, current employees, university is there, past company, but it doesn't talk about what they studied, right? Computer science, IT, it doesn't talk about it. And you don't get an analytical view. You need to specifically say which one, right? But here, you get an amazing analytical view, right? Which right, where they studied, you get to know, okay, 15 people Anna University, 11 people JNTU, 6 Osmania, right? So you can easily say, okay, Osmania, JNTU, these can be fake candidates, we don't go there, right? Right, so yeah. So yeah, so that gives you an amazing view. So you know, okay, these are the red alerts for me, right? So out of 200 employees, 200 data sets, there are some 30 odd red alerts for me, right? So this gives you an amazing view, but that search does not give you, right? So there are a lot of advantages of this search when you do a company specific search, and you can also have 2-3 colleagues working, right? Hey, you work on Cognizant, I'll work on Infosys, you work on the other one, right? So splitting the data, right? So this helps you organize your search to a large extent. Right? So this is a very powerful and a helpful method of sourcing, and this was recently introduced, and I don't know how long this will exist, right? It is to the will of the LinkedIn. So as long as it exists, make full use of it. So it can go on. So this is the search. It will go on. As you keep scrolling, the data will go on. Right? It keeps going. Clear? Any doubts here? Any questions with regards to this particular search model?
So, Ashwak, this is available in the normal LinkedIn account.
Normal. I don't have a premium. I have a normal only. I never bought a premium.
Okay.
Right. So yeah.
But what is the problem in the normal account is like we have only very limited views actually.
Yeah, that is a catch there, right? So basically there is a catch, but I don't know if they have that catch for this as well. I don't know, right? Because this last 1.5 months is what it is available. So maybe the month end or something, I'll get to know if there's any limitation for this particular search, right? For the normal search, I think after 10-15 days, you will not be able to search, or maybe after 1 week, you cannot see data,
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
But in this, I'm not really sure here, right? So I think maybe by this month end, I'll get to know whether this data comes or doesn't come, right? So that's what I'll advise. What I advise staffing people is buy that 2,000 rupees wala premium account. That is very useful.
Okay,
2,000 rupees per month is not a big deal, right? What you get, limitation is the 6 words. That is fine, okay? But you can see a lot of resumes. No limitation on that,
correct,
right?
correct.
Right? But play with the 6. You learn how to play with that 6 words and play, right? So because you will not have competitors there, very few people will know the technique of using the 6 words, right? So that is where you will have an upper hand.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So now, is this clear? We'll move to the next one.
Yes.
Yes.
Too much of information, huh? Huh? What, guys?
No, actually, it is
Yeah.
knowledge gaining.
Yeah. Yep, you've got it, practice, nothing. There's no stopping otherwise. If you practice, you'll be there. This is the problem which happens when people get loads of inputs and then they lose out what to practice. Since this is till date, I have never done a webinar. Okay, this is the first webinar I'm doing, and from next week I have some 2-3 webinars. Okay, I've never done webinars till date. Now I see some benefits of doing webinars. One of the benefits is you guys get that 24 hours time in between, wherein I can give you a task to practice, right? Previously, what I used to do is one day, 8 hours, finish, that's all. Bombard with information in one day, go back. Right? And people will feel, oh wow, amazing, right? But then too much of information in 8 hours, one shot. And then next day, they're like, oh, I learned so many things, but what I learned how to implement, they're lost. So now I'm seeing this is more better webinars doing like this every day 2 hours like this. This is more I think this will create more impact because people who really want to implement, right, they get that 24 hours to implement, and next day maybe doubts if they have, they come back and all that, they get time to practice, right? So otherwise in a normal session where I go in person and give their 8 hours full information bombard, and then next day people are lost. So, yep. Okay, so talking about X-ray, these are the operators on top of X-ray, okay, and or not, double quotes, brackets, and then there is something called as wildcard. I'll talk what is wildcard. Wildcard, I think, which is majorly used in the job boards in US job boards of DICE and all that, but not much on Naukri and all, because you don't really need this and it doesn't really use. Even in LinkedIn, this is not really used wildcard. Okay. Talking about X-ray operators, fundamentally X-ray understands these things. For and you need to give space in X-ray. Okay, or straight line. So where is the straight line? The straight line is above enter, right? You need to press shift key and then that key above enter key. Then you get the straight line. Okay. And then not minus is not. Okay. Double quotes is double quotes, bracket is bracket, and then there's something called as wildcard. I'll explain you what is wildcard in a while. So now coming to X-ray. So this is the operator which we use. This is a basic operator which is called as a site operator. So on X-ray, what we generally do is, let's say, we write simply jobs Java. So that means this is an X-ray wherein we are not telling Google from where it needs to get data. Google gets it based on its own indexing algorithm, right? So whatever is a good indexing algorithm, Google finds it, it brings it on top. Okay. Wherein we can also tell Google, boss, get me data only from this website, nothing outside this website. How does Google tell? So that is where site operator is used for, site : right? We use site : right? And then from where we need data, linkedin.com. Now we give enter. Okay, so now let's say we want Java Spring or Hibernate. Java space Spring or Hibernate. Straight line is or, bracket is brackets, space is and then I give enter. So now what's happening? We are getting a lot of junk data. We're getting jobs. We're getting like a lot of junk data. Okay. So now how do we get out of this junk data and get only profiles? Okay. So to get profiles, we need to understand the URL structure of LinkedIn. What is the URL structure? URL structure of how profiles are kept in LinkedIn. Okay, we need to understand that. Okay, only then we will get only profiles. To understand that, what we need to do, right? This is a model which you need to learn, which is applicable for any public website. What is public? The data is public. Private is what? Naukri is private, Dice is private, Monster is private, where you cannot index data from Google. But LinkedIn you can index. Why? Because these are mostly public data. 90% of data on LinkedIn is public. Okay. So for any public website, whether it is Stack Overflow, GitHub, or anything, the structure which I will explain you is the same structure, right? Which we will follow to know what is the URL for profile information. Or else you will also get junk data like this. So we should know, we should do a little bit of study to know what is the URL for a profile information. Some people use some tools, okay, like recruiting.net and all that to generate X-ray searches. I don't advise such tools. Why? Because when you use those tools, you do not know how the tool is generating the URL. Okay, you do not know for each different search engine how is it reacting. You do not know. You are on the mercy of the tool. Tomorrow, if the tool goes off, what will you do? You will say, oh, I don't know to source X-ray, right? So that's why rely on tools when it is necessary. When it is not necessary, don't rely. People who rely on tools like recruiting.net do not understand the core fundamental of X-ray. They do not know, okay, for a new website, let's say recruiting.net does not give you a search method for a new website, right? So what will you do? You will also not search. Why? Because recruiting.net does not have the facility. Recruiting.net has a facility of some 5 to 10 websites. That's all. There's a new website you found. You know there are good some testing people or developers whom you need. Maybe SFDC people. You know there's a group there. You want to target there. But recruiting.net does not have that facility for that particular website. So will you say, oh no, I will not do? No, that is where this knowing this fundamental of how X-ray works is useful, wherein you can apply for any given website. Okay. So I'll tell you site linkedin.com Java, and now we need to know the profile information, how the URL is. So I will give a generic name, most common name, Kumar. So I got all the Kumars. So now I'll open bunch of Kumars. So when you look at the Kumar, look at this URL, linkedin.com/in, 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 and then comes Hemant Kumar URL. Can you see that? linkedin.com/in and then Hemant Kumar. Even if you look at my profile information, linkedin.com/in and then Ashfaq Ahmed. So the URL structure for a profile information is what? /in. /in doesn't represent India. It represents the public information of a profile, not jobs, not company. Okay. If it is company, what? linkedin.com/in and then company. Then you will get company information. /company. Now we'll get all the company information. What is it? It is just a company. linkedin.com/company. That's all. What is this? Okay, linkedin.com directory, and then companies. This is how it has it. This is the URL directory. Okay, now we'll talk about the profile information, which is basically /in, right? That is a common one. So now what we'll do here, linkedin.com/in. Now we will remove Kumar off. Now you see the beauty, you will see only profiles, no jobs, no junk data, only profile. Can you see the profile information? Whichever page you go, I'll go to the 5th page. Only profile information. Is this clear?
Yeah,
How
but
did-
we get only
Yes,
Indian
yeah.
right, for this.
No, said we can get.
No, if we put slash in, we get only Indian profiles or any.
No. That's what I said. No, /in doesn't represent India.
Okay.
/in represent public profiles. Right? I gave New Jersey. Now we got all the New Jersey profiles.
Okay.
Right? You need to mention location next to the skill like this.
Okay.
Okay. If you need only India, then it is in.linkedin.
Okay.
us.linkedin, like that. So here, if I need only India, then I give in.linkedin.com/in. Now I get only India. If I need only US, I'll give US. Right. So now this is all US profiles. Right. You got all your Xingqing, Natalia, right? Silby, right? Shane. Can you see this? That is how it is. So it is the first index, not the at the end. At the end, it is basically it represents the public profile information. Okay. So now on top of it, you can give location and all that, whatever you need as a space. Okay. So
And if we want a normal like anyone in US, so what do we put there? Like just USA or?
you will have specific place, right? You will not have just USA. You'll have New York or New Jersey. That's what I showed you.
Yes, I just think New Jersey.
That's all. ठीक है? And then let's say I want only female candidates. She or her. Gets you female candidates. So how does this help? Some people write their profiles in a third degree manner, right? Like third person, right? She's a good developer. She's that, her contribution. That is how they would have written their own profile. Okay. So, which is unnecessary thing, right? But people do it. And then on recommendation, if you are giving a recommendation to your female colleague, she was a good performer, right? Her contribution to the team, right? Then that is indexed. So this is one way of doing it. Or else you can just write female. Just write female, that's all. So this will give you female candidates. And then let's say you want to look at candidates who have written mail IDs publicly. Okay, they've written mail IDs publicly. Given New Jersey, mail IDs publicly @gmail.com. So now you got people who've written their mail IDs publicly. So what have I done here basically? In New Jersey, there are some 400 odd people with Java Spring Hibernate who have their mail IDs public. So what I've done basically, I've written this and then I'm telling the search engine, boss, I need a data which has Java, Spring or Hibernate and then New Jersey from LinkedIn website. And that data should also have @gmail.com as ending. But before that, what is there? I don't know, which is wildcard, right? So that is where wildcard helps you acting like a filler. Okay, it acts like a filler. That's why it covers you all this, right? Patel, Manisha.
Can we use two wildcard in the sentence?
Okay. One sentence, yeah, but there's no necessity. This does the job for you. Now what I can do is if I want Gmail or Hotmail, then I'll write like And right now I have 600 profiles. Previously it was 490. I have 600. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes. And if we use wildcard at wildcard.com?
Wildcard? Then you get all junk data of people from Amazon.com, right? eBay.com, right? That may be just indexing you to some website, www.ebay.com, www.amazon.com. So that will lead you to a lot of junk data. Right. So that is not the right. This is all we structure it based on how data reacts. So look, you know this approach today. You can go talk to the X-ray search engine. Whatever you think in your mind is possible, try it out. Data should be your answer, always. Okay, I tried it. Let me see how data reacts. Can I get it? Will I get it? Won't I get it? So ask the data, ask the search engine, and then see how it reacts. That is your answer. Done. You learned concept. That's all. Once concept is learned, you can do anything with that concept. Anything which comes to your mind. Sky is the limit. Keep trying. If it comes, well and good. If it doesn't come, okay, you learned it. Next time you will be able to say, hey, no man, it cannot do. We cannot do that way. Because this is what comes if I do it, right? So that is an approach which you should follow. From today onwards, analyze data, talk to the search engine. Analyze data, talk to the search engine. The more you talk to the search engine, the better you become as a recruiter. Okay. So, yep. And okay, so now this is about X-ray, right? Yeah. And then let's say you want someone, a technology guy who has managed a team, right? Manage a team, right? So what will you do in that case? Someone who has managed a team. What I'll do, this guy might write manage or lead, and then can have managed 10 people, 15 people, number can be anything. So that's why wildcard. And then team or people or members. So this is not. So what I've done here is, there's a difference. I've used double quotes, not brackets. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, I need a profile which has a sentence which will start with manage or lead. Okay, one sentence. I need one sentence on the profile which starts with manage or lead, ends with team or people or members, and in between that, what is there, I don't mind. Because people will have different ways of writing. Lead team member, right? Lead team size 14, right? Lead the team, right? Manage 4 members, right? Manage the team. Lead of 4/5 members. So there are umpteen ways people will write this. How all will you go and figure out what are the patterns? So that is where we leave the wildcard do the task. What we need the ending to be team, people, member, and the beginning of the sentence to be manage or lead. In between, what is that? I don't mind. That is where you leave the task to wildcard. And the wildcard basically helps you in pulling up the data. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So yes, so wildcard has many usages. Okay, so based on your use case, based on what kind of requirement you're dealing with, whatever comes into your mind, try it out. What's there, right? There's no harm in it, right? Try it out, right? Trial and error is the best training yourself in recruitment. Keep doing a lot of trial and errors, right? Error is fine, but some trial you do it, you learn a new art, right? You don't know, right? So that is how you end up learning in recruitment. Trial and error is the best trainer for you, no one else. Okay. So yep. So TK, so this is what it is about X-ray search, right? So we learned LinkedIn in detail today, how LinkedIn works, what is the limitation within the LinkedIn, and how do we play within the limitation, right? And we spoke about not operator, how useful this is as an operator, right? Oh yeah, I missed out to tell you how not works on X-ray, right? So for X-ray, we need to use minus for not. Okay. Let's say I don't want SQL minus, right? So now another not I need to give. What we do in LinkedIn or job board, we give not A or B in bracket, right? A or B or C or D, it can be anything, right? In not. That is what we give. But in X-ray, we cannot give like that. We need to write not separately. How many knots you need? Those many you need to write. You cannot write OR logic. This is the X-ray approach. Is it clear?
Yes.
So how many other knots we can just add that minus?
Okay. So when it comes to Google gives you the best of the results when your character size is 32 characters. Okay. If your entire search character is 32 characters, then Google acts as your best friend. But if it keeps increasing, the more you give words, Google starts acting cranky. Okay. Because Google doesn't let you index such a big search query. 32 characters is the limit. Yes, you can go up a little bit here and there, right? Thoda, like little bit, maybe 5 characters, 8 characters you can go. But if you have a very long search string, like how you give it in a job board, right? That doesn't really support on an X-ray search, right? You might get data, but that will be cranky. It will not be like what you are really looking forward to. Okay. So again, minimal approach is the best approach whenever you're searching on LinkedIn and X-ray. So what we'll do for a minimal approach, we remove Java. Right. So minimal approach is always the best when you're searching. Use the minimal words, right? There's no harm. I would say even in a job board, you don't need Java when you have Spring Hibernate. Why do you need Java? Because you're not going to get Python. You're not going to get .NET. Right? I always tell, as a recruiter, you need to be a lazy recruiter. That's when you can be a good recruiter, right? Because lazy ones are smart ones. They look at, hey, why should I even write that 4 characters in that 1 second, 2 second, why should I type it, right? And they have a reason for it, right? That kind of a recruiter you need to be. You know every word which you write, you know how the search engine is going to react. Accordingly, you decide whether I write it or I do not write it. Okay. This is why in the beginning, I never told you don't write Java or J2EE. I did not say in the first and the second day. Now I am telling you. Why? Because if I told you on the first or the second day, you wouldn't have related it. Because as recruiters, we are used to Java, mandatory skill he's saying not to use, right? So that might have confused you guys. Now, since I have trained you for 2 days, I think you would have understood how search engine works. It has nothing to do with your job description. Your job description is just a piece of junk. Your job description is just a piece of junk. It is just a reference point for you. Someone tells Java, SQL, okay, that's all. Huh? Okay, go. That is reference point. That's all. The rest apart, your searching approach is a search engine driven and a candidate driven. Know the search engine, how it reacts. Based on that, I will frame a search. Know how candidates write. Based on that. Information is reference point, JD. That's all. Nothing beyond that. The problem today, the biggest problem for recruiters is the JD, because we treat JD as some holy scripture. Oh, JD says, man, JD. It's written in JD, right? That mindset needs to change. We need to be more search-centric, understand each search engine. Based on that, we decide what is to be used, what is not to be used, right? And then next approach is basically candidate driven. That's when you can get to become a more better recruiter. Okay. So any doubts here?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, cool. So cool, guys. So we'll wrap it here, right? Task will be, you can pick up a couple of job descriptions of your own, run it on LinkedIn, right? You are free to pick up any job description, whichever you feel like, or just copy paste and send it to me while you're sending the Boolean, like how you did it today, right? And run it on LinkedIn, right? And then tell me search 1, search 2, search 3, what you did, explain it, or add screenshots, whatever. It's up to you. right? From that, if I see it, I should know what you've done. That's all, right? So,
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Ashok.
Yeah.
Yeah.